Hello everybody, hope you're doing well and welcome to an Alliance Wars Showcase video of some champions that are kind of good options and things like that. We're going to go over the fight breakdowns, just to quickly talk about the nodes, champions, best champions for it. There's lots of recommendations in the link in the description. If you're one of these people that want to come to the content and go, do you know what, I'm not interested in watching the full video, fine, go and check out the link in the description. The reason we create this as an options thing is this is loads of options, team configurations, things that work against whatever works, right? We'll break down the fights themselves, but there are a lot of people that just want to go and grab and go. Hey, fine, just give the video a like, that'll be appreciated, and just click the link in the description and have a lovely day. The team that I used for this one can be found here. On the first run that I did, which was on the right side, I did first Hercules. Gladiator is an iffy one. If I was to say anything, and I'm being honest about this, I shouldn't have used Gladiator at all. He can be used, but I thought I could do something, or I felt that I could action something in a certain way, and it didn't really work out according to plan, and I felt that yes, he's brilliant. By the way, it's not saying he's not brilliant. He is brilliant. It's just maybe I didn't anticipate certain things and rotations and things that were better. Like there's better options that I personally found. Like Wiccan literally was the Don, or he was the MVP. Bishop was the MVP. Iceman I underutilized against Nick Fury, but he was relatively effective. And Crossbones swapped out for Thing, where a lot of players have said that Crossbones is good for Thing, and again, I'm not doubting that, but you always have to, when you're taking on content like this, find what works for you. And as you're going to see in some of the footage that I'm going to be showing over the top of this, is that Wiccan worked for me against Thing. Wiccan and Thing, it just worked. And that's mainly because of, buff failure, fate seal, rotations, damage, dealing with the buffs. He just became a bit of a powerhouse, but also he works great for taking on the path. So I think he was the MVP for me. But each to their own. Who is your MVP? Put it in the comments down below, because then if somebody sees it, they may be like, do you know what? That's a better option than Rich put in that spreadsheet. And that's what we want to see. Community coming together to come up with better ideas. Shout out to MSD and shout out to Legacy. I know they did Black Cat and Kate Bishop. Fair play. Look, if those are better options for other players, go for it, because that may be your strongest champions you have ready for it. Anyway, I've jumped the gun a bit too much with this. Let's get into the video and kind of showcase and talk about some of the stuff. So for this video, we're going to see footage just coming out left, right and center of stuff in action. They're only snippets of the fights because I don't want to make this a lengthy video, but things happen. First of all, Magic Thief playing into the Saga based champions. A lot of the champions I recommend are going to be Saga based champions. I've also put in the spreadsheet a link to and also the image from Misty K from last month, was the infographic of the champions. Fantastic infographic. Shout out to Misty K. But starting off with Cosmic Ghost Rider, there's a lot of champions that would do this very well. Running on fumes can seem a bit annoying. You do get, I think this is the one you get right off the bat. Oh, actually, with some of these, the passive, I think it's the passive. Is it this one? Yeah, that's it. Attackers in the fight gain 15% rating, and their parry triggers a passive stun effect instead of a debuff. The stun gains 0.5 second duration. It's a good starter. It's nice and little kind of calming to get into it, and there's a lot of champions to take this on. My first time round, I used Wiccan. That was fine. That was actually better. I didn't play so well the first time, but I played better with Werewolf by Night. But I don't know if it's one of the better options. It's just something that I feel that if you have Werewolf by Night, I think as well, being brave, that's another thing. A lot of players may not have been, including myself, not brave to use certain champions. A good scenario will be on the left side in a minute, which as we go a bit further up with this. Lady Deathstrike, I didn't play so well against, but I did find that if I used Wiccan, it was a low and slow kind of way of taking it on, and it was fine. My plan was to take in Gladiator, but to be honest, I would have been better off taking in Cosmic Ghost Rider. You live and learn with these things. The champion does have Arc Overload, Bullet over time, and then has Indomitable, so there are a few things that are going to be tricky with this one. Maybe keep to an SP1 and watch out for that. Unstoppable may be the way to go with it. But apart from that, I think most champions are going to be good for this. Cosmic Ghost Rider, if you got it, is going to blitz through a ton of it quite easily and quite nicely. Splitting off the right-hand side, this for me I found is one of the most easiest paths, depending on who you've got. If you've got Bishop, it is really easy. I think, again, being brave is going to be very important in this. And being brave to use something other than Bishop would have been like using Hood. I could have been able to use like Wiccan here, or maybe some of the other champions on rotation. But Bishop literally is like one of the better options to take this on, especially just kind of interacts pretty well with it. I think you've got to watch out for the... I made the mistake of second wind, so the damage reflection, and you've just got to wait for that just to kind of go off. As soon as that's gone off, you can actually get in. But I made that mistake of going in and getting a bit of damage, mainly because I was like, oh, I need to get this done. I need get this done quickly, and that's not really that's not really the best way to approach any kind of content. But I think a lot of people know what I mean. When you're like, I got to get this done, got to get done now. Especially if I'm recording something and I want to get into some other bits of content. Bishop, again, another Bishop, Kingpin, another Bishop-based counter for this one, keeping the enemy to an SP1, and it's, yeah, there's nothing really too scary about this. So, yeah, just use that. I don't know if any other champion works as well as Bishop for this one. I don't know if you would want to use the, like, any kind of debuff champion that is mutant would maybe feel a bit risky because of what you would do to Bishop, but... then again, any other kind of like Magic Thief or Magic Thief or ex-Magica champions could do this relatively well. Against against Nick Fury, I decided to use Iceman. Now you can use Sunspot, and as well for this you could use Onslaught. I think Onslaught is a very good option. It's whether or not you feel a lot of these champions being tested in different areas. Like, okay, well, Bishop's there, not Bishop, Onslaught's there. Well, I could use him in, I could use him for the Kingpin fight, maybe. I mean, I had a plan. I had a plan with my team to be like Bishop for Kate Bishop, Kingpin. And then I was thinking about using him against Nick Fury, which I think I did the last little slithers of health against him with. But you're essentially charged up. You get charged up if you use... your Bishop, because you have Hazard Shift. Hazard Shift, Shock, and Incinerate is literally going to charge up your Bishop, and he's going to be able to do a lot of damage very, very quickly, depending on, well, waiting around for the second phase, second life, that life decoy that the champion has. Moving on to Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock does have Missing in Action. You've just got to watch out about that miss. That's it. And the power gain can be a little bit annoying if the champion's not throwing a special attack, which can happen. So you might want to take in the likes of Destroyer, Kashala, Hood, and Wiccan does a good enough job. I just don't know if Kashala may be a little bit better and Destroyer may be a little bit better for this one. But if you're bringing Bishop, if you're bringing Wiccan for the entirety of, you know, the fights, then it's like, well, he's got a team slot on there in any case. If he's covering a lot of fields, then at least you can bring him in for the Adam Warlock fight and do the Thing fight. And I suppose bring in maybe a synergy option if you've got Wiccan from start to finish. But I guess it's going to be up to you what you feel you're going to take on. And then finally for Shuri, you could use Cosmic Ghost Rider. At least you'll have 3 fights plus of him being in on your team. Hulkling just for that fight, or maybe Gladiator, but I didn't really rate Gladiator quite as much. I need to move that back. And Hercules you could just bring in for that fight. It depends what you want to bring on specifically for that fight. Maybe Hulkling specifically, but then Hood might be able to give you a bit of a solid kind of coverage. Like, he actually covers a lot. I'd say he's one of the second best options to cover a lot of the different champions on that one. Moving on to the left-hand side of things, and on the left-hand side, again, same things with Cosmic Ghost Rider and with Lady Deathstrike, with the champions you bring in. On that route, you could bring in Cosmic Ghost Rider for a good chunk of the fights, and then, again, similar thing with the champions you go up against. Wiccan, great again. As I said, Wiccan's one of those options. Same thing with Hood. That could be helpful to take on certain things, like the extent of power gain, buff gain, and general frustrations that come from Vision Arcus. That can either be a good fight for you or a bad fight for you. You've also got Iron Man Infinity War. I decided to bring in Hercules for this trip. I had a plan for a couple of fights for him to go on. I should have been brave and used Bullseye for Iron Man Infinity War, just merely for a tester. I just wanted to test a bit more to see like what other champions could do. You will need to knock down the champion. He does get a little bit frustrating, especially when it comes to heavy hitter, because, well, he's going to do a bit of that and it's just going to be annoying. Hercules does Hercules things, and that was the thing that got me through, which is nice. And Spot, I decided to change it up. I did have a plan to use a different champion on. I actually planned to use Hercules with an SP1 rotation for True Sense. But I decided that Bullseye might be a better option, and it was. I actually enjoyed using Bullseye against this a little bit more. I did find the AI, and that's something... No, not the AI, actually. No, inputs. AI has been fine. Inputs have been terrible, and I don't know why that is. I found that inputs were just not working so well, which doesn't really help matters when the champion becomes unblockable, but, you know... I'm not saying I was doing a block. I'm just trying to, like, you know, be aggressive and going intercepting. So yeah, I used Bullseye for that, found that relatively effective. Nothing about the node seemed to be of a frustration, except for that unblockable as mentioned. And then when it comes to Void, Void does get that power snack. No, the one too many hits. So he's going to get that power sting debuff. I found Bullseye all right for this. I preferred using, I think it was Hercules on this particular fight. In hindsight, I may have brought in something better. Like I should have brought in like would I bring in a Crossbones? Maybe for a couple of fights in this. Or bringing in something like, well, maybe Chilf. But I don't have her at a high rarity. So it is what it is with that one. And of course, Shuri fight with Hercules. Because, hey, Hercules does Hercules things. The final boss, and where we're going to end the video, is on Thing. This rotation... to get this guy down, it's tough. If the champion's got stun immune, sort of a problem. Adaptive, gains buffs, sort of a problem. You want to try and suppress that unstoppable buff coming up. One of the best options is Wiccan. As soon as you've done your Fate Seal passive and then locked it in, and it's not easy because you'll have to time your heavy attacks in order to get that Fate Seal locked in to then suppress the unstoppable and the other buffs. It takes time. If you're patient and you get the rotation down, for me, sadly, it was the second time round. As I'm getting like older, I have to do things about like 10 times in order to get it right. Fortunately, this was on the second attempt that I actually kind of got the rotation down to where I liked, and I was pretty happy with that. It's a shame I don't have to do it again, but maybe this is something that will improve with Spring of Sorrow, where, you know, the more times I have to do it, the more it will kind of like sink in with kind of the rotation and the fight in general. And yeah, like it was actually pretty good. Just get that SP1 in. Get maybe some SP2s in whenever you can. It's tough because you have to focus too much on getting that Fate Seal locked in, making sure that you're being aggressive at times, trying to keep the spell on for longer, like maybe holding block for a length of time, heavy attack rotation, maybe an SP1 to top up your health now and again. Try and get in an SP2. Make sure Thing on his kind of like rock shields, I think it's rock stacks or rock shields, one of the two, making sure that if you don't have that Fate Seal on, and he reaches 15 of those stacks, you're going to have to get yourself back with an SP1, while he's doing his SP1 or SP2, is evade out of there, so that it resets the rock stacks so that you can go back in again. And in the footage, which should be on screen right now, I hope, it's hopefully going to like showcase that obviously trying my best to kind of keep myself alive, focus on many things going on at the same time. Not the cleanest of play, to be honest, but at the end of the day, that if it's stupid and it works, it ain't stupid. In any case, who did you use in the fight? Thanks very much for watching the video. Check out some other content which will be located on screen, and I'll see you on the next one, and bye-bye for now.